What's going on, everyone? It's been a while, I know, but there's some DC stuff to talk about here, from Writer's Room to Green Lantern to Man of Tomorrow casting and so much more. So I want to get into it here. I want to talk about different things that are going on right now within the DC universe, the DC Studios universe, I should say, because it's not just the DCU. We got Elseworlds within there to talk about. First and foremost, Jeremy Slater on his DCU Writer's Room role at DC Studios. And this is coming via A Geek's Viewpoint on X via The Hollywood Reporter. And I thought this was really interesting because it kind of gives us an idea of what is going on with DC Studios and what is going on in the Writer's Room and how they're approaching the projects and the different things that they're doing with the DCU. He says, "Our job is to just toss ideas his way," speaking of James Gunn. "He'll grab the ones that seem relevant or helpful, ignore the ones that don't because he has a story that he's telling. I have loved the first couple of chapters." Now, I know some people might sit there and say, "Oh, this is not how a writer's room works," but it kind of is, guys. It really is. A writer's room in Hollywood typically has a handful of people just sitting down in a room, essentially, and they just discuss, hey, James Gunn has an idea. He'll sit down and say, look, I have point A and point Z. I need to get to point Z, so let's start throwing out ideas how we can get there. And the writer's room will kind of throw out those ideas, and eventually, sometimes, not always, they will throw out ideas that the showrunner or the studio head loves, and then they say, okay, let's run with that. Now, here's the really interesting thing when it comes to DC Studios and the writer's room and things like that. They are allowing other filmmakers to come and pitch ideas as well. It's not just stuck to the writer's room. We saw this with Clayface, for instance. Like, Clayface was not a movie that they were sitting down in the writer's room and thinking, hey, we should make this movie. That is something that got pitched. It was an idea that came about outside of that. And that's the beauty of what DC Studios is doing right now and what James Gunn and Peter Safran have lined up, because you're not just kind of handcuffing yourself to one little section of people or things. No, you're giving the opportunity to filmmakers to come in and say, look, I think I have a really cool idea for DC. I would love to make this. And hey, if they can make it fit within the DCU, they're going to. Otherwise, they're probably just going to make it an Elseworlds type of event. I love that direction. I love how they're handling it. And people just don't quite understand. I want to say how great of an idea and not idea, but concept. We'll say that concept this is, because it just gives so much more room to have so many different ideas and different things come into play. I get the worry that some people have that, well, James Gunn's the mastermind and he gets to say yes or no to things. Well, yeah, it's the same thing that happens with a showrunner on a TV show, or say Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios, or now Dave Filoni in Lucasfilm and Star Wars. That's kind of how things work, especially with these multi-million and billion-dollar IPs that, look, you can't just have people running around all willy-nilly.
Holy shrimp, they're everywhere! Ah!
No, you need to have somebody who is willing to take the ideas of others and kind of expand on them and build off of that. And James Gunn is doing just that. Look, I think this is great. I love hearing this kind of stuff when it comes to the whole DC Studios, hierarchy, I guess you can say. I love it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. Now, with that, Lars Eidinger, who is cast as Brainiac in the upcoming Man of Tomorrow, has talked about what drew him to being in the movie. He says, "Last week I was on set during rehearsals and asked if I could watch some filming, which had already started. And I saw an actor, David Cornsweet, in the Superman suit, suspended by cables in front of a blue screen. I looked at that image and I thought, this is the essence of fiction. It's an image as meaningful as Hamlet holding the skull. Superman in that Superman pose, hanging from cables in front of a blue screen." I think it's funny how he specifically mentions the blue screen, because like when you think of something like Hamlet holding the skull, to be or not to be.
To be or not to be. click the link in my bio for part 2.
And you have Superman, who is considered by many the grandfather of all superheroes, the greatest superhero of all time, and he's sitting there watching a moment be filmed with him. And I think that respect that Lars gives for the character of Superman and that of the DC universe, I think is fantastic, and I love having actors and people like that part of the universe, because honestly, when you truly get down to it, if an actor or somebody doesn't love what they're doing, it's not going to make for a good performance or a good film most of the time. But he loves this, and I can't wait to see what he brings to the screen as Brainiac. But let me know your thoughts about this in the comments. I think it's really interesting, so let me know down below. Next up, Matthew Lillard. I don't think I've talked about this one yet. I don't think I have, but Matthew Lillard has been cast in Man of Tomorrow in an unknown role. Now, some people think that he could play Ted Kord, or he could play a number of people. I've seen so many different theories online. I think Matthew Lillard is a fantastic actor. I think he's phenomenal. He's having quite the resurgence right now, being from Five Nights at Freddy's. He was in that show, that Netflix show, what was it, Good Girls or something like that. He was in that. He was in Scream 7. Like, he's just had this resurgence. Oh, most recently, Daredevil Born Again in season 2.
But first, let's give the gang the old slipperoni.
Again, he's had this resurgence of just kind of being relevant again. And let's not forget, I mean, he's been the voice of Scooby-Doo now for more than a decade. He was Scooby-Doo in the first couple live action films. He's a gem of a human being. And again, when you add people of talent to a movie, that's not a bad thing. So seeing someone like Matthew Lillard in Man of Tomorrow looks great. This picture on set with him and James Gunn, he's in a collared shirt with a tie. I'm thinking he might be like a reporter or something like that. I don't know for a fact, but we'll definitely see how that plays out. Let me know your thoughts down below. Sinqua Wells has also been cast in Man of Tomorrow, with character details being kept in a lead-lined safe. This coming from DC News and Updates via The Hollywood Reporter. And the question is, what role do you think he's playing? I believe he's in his 40s. He's like 42 or 43 or something like that. He's not very old, but I know some people really want to say, oh, he's going to be Martian Manhunter. There's some other, Steel or Cyborg or Black Lightning. There's a lot of ideas of who he could be playing in this movie. Look, I know that we're going to have Superman, obviously. We're going to have the Justice Gang, so we're going to have Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific in there again. That's up to 4. Rumor has it that we're going to see Wonder Woman. That would be 5. And then we're going to have Maxima. That's 6. So you're looking at 6 superheroes plus Lex Luthor plus Brainiac. I mean, that is a big cast of characters that you have to kind of have all this screen time for. Now, again, this isn't just a Superman sequel. This is a team-up. That is something that James Gunn has been very, very vocal about, for sure. But here's my thing about this. Could Wells be playing a hero? Absolutely. Could it be someone like Steel? Maybe not. I don't know if Steel is... I don't think they're quite ready for Steel in the story if they bring Steel in, but who knows? Maybe he will be in. Cyborg, I think he's a little too old to play Cyborg, because I personally I want to see a younger Cyborg, either with the Teen Titans or just a younger character. I mean, let's not forget he's a college kid, so at the very oldest he should be a college kid, not 40-something years old. Martian Manhunter isn't a bad one. I don't see him as a Martian Manhunter, so again, I'm stuck and down on this thing like, who could he be? And I don't know. I really don't know. I'm to the point where it's like, let's just see how it plays out. Let's see what happens. Maybe he's a lackey for Brainiac. Maybe he's a lackey for Lex Luthor. Maybe he's part of Rick Flag's team. Who knows? But we will see when the movie comes out for sure. But I want to know your thoughts. What do you think, or who do you think Wells is going to play in Man of Tomorrow? So let me know in the comments below. Okay, we're going to make a little bit of a shift here. We're going to jump over to the Batman Part 2. Matt Reeves has essentially given us the core cast list of the movie. Now, this is coming from from the Hollywood Reporter, and he has basically confirmed that people like Robert Pattinson, obviously he's Batman, Sebastian Stan, and a number of other people. Let's see, we got Robert Pattinson, Sebastian Stan, and rumor has it he's playing Harvey Dent. That has not been confirmed yet, and we're going to get into that in a second. Jeffrey Wright will be back as Jim Gordon, Andy Serkis is back as Alfred Pennyworth, Colin Farrell is back as the Penguin, Jamie Lawson, he will be Gotham City Mayor Bella Real. Then we got Gil Perez Abraham as Officer Martinez, Sebastian Koch, and Brian Tyree Henry. I don't believe did they confirm? I think they did actually confirm that Scarlett Johansson is in the movie as well. But let's get to the big one here, which is Sebastian Stan. Okay, so again, a lot of people, it's believed that he's going to play Harvey Dent, Two-Face. However, some interesting pictures came up just this week, just mere weeks, days, and weeks before filming of the Batman Part 2, and this is what Sebastian Stan looks like. He's bald, like Lex Luthor bald. I think that's kind of wild. Could he still be playing Harvey Dent? Absolutely. Maybe it was easier to shave his head for the prosthetics if he plays Two-Face. If Two-Face is in the movie, maybe they're shooting those scenes first. Maybe those scenes are going to be done early in production, so then his hair can grow out slightly, and maybe they don't want him to have a whole head of hair as Harvey Dent, and maybe they figured, hey, let his hair grow out just a little bit wherever it's at. After they do that, it'll be fine. Or maybe he's wearing a wig. Maybe he's going to wear some kind of piece on his head to kind of give him a different look and a different feel to work for Harvey Dent. But then again, maybe he's playing somebody else altogether. Like somebody over here posted Victor Fries. That would be very interesting and, well, kind of a change of pace than what people were thinking. Wouldn't that be something if Scarlett Johansson happened to play Victor Fries' wife, and she's the reason that everything happens? That would be interesting. That would be something far left-wing that people would not have thought was going to happen. And then maybe somebody else is playing Harvey Dent. Regardless, I don't know. I think this is interesting. Look, all this casting information and these what-ifs and these whos are they and what are they. I love this. Again, look, I'm not a big fan of what Matt Reeves did with the first Batman. I am interested and curious to see the second movie, but I love this stuff. I love the theorizing and the guessing and trying to figure out things. I love this part of being a fan in pulp culture. I think it's what makes pulp culture and fandoms so fun and so unique compared to being like a sports fan. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think that Sebastian Stan is going to play Harvey Dent? Could he play someone like Victor Fries, or could he be somebody else altogether, like Policeman Number 3 or something? That'd be stupid. But yeah, you never know. I mean, who knows with this place? But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And finally, look, this is the day after the Lanterns trailer dropped, which was fantastic. Love to see it. Go watch my review on the YouTube, on my channel right now. But I want to talk about this in particular. He said, we wrote Hal at an age that isn't typical for superhero stories. And doing that felt like a way to get at a fear of replacement that doesn't normally come in these types of shows. I love this. Look, I know people are upset that Hal Jordan is going to be, in his 50s or 60s. And we didn't get to see Hal Jordan in his prime. I get it. That sucks. But here's a very interesting thing. The show is actually going to take place in two different times. You have 2016 and then 10 years later, 2026. It's during 2016 that we see them, or specifically Hal Jordan, kind of investigate a murder that's going on. I believe Jon Stewart's around at that point, and he's younger there, obviously 10 years younger. And then we jump up to 2026, which I think this image here is from 2026 that we're seeing, this GIF, I should say. So I think that is probably how it's going to work. But why I want to say this, or talk about that in particular, is because it's showing that DC is not afraid to do flashbacks. The DCU is not afraid to go back and say, hey, here's Hal Jordan in his prime. And maybe, just maybe, we're going to get a TV show or a movie of Hal Jordan in his prime at some point down the line. So, for those of you that are all freaking out and whining and crying, he's too old, he's too old. I even heard people freaking out that about the whole race thing, that, they're getting rid of Hal Jordan because they want to put a black man in. First off, Jon Stewart he's probably the second most famous Green Lantern, and maybe to some people even the most famous Green Lantern. Let's not forget that there's an entire generation of people who watched the Justice League cartoon and Justice League Unlimited cartoon where Jon Stewart was Green Lantern, and that is who they grew up with, was Jon Stewart. So to me, that was my generation. When I was first introduced to Green Lantern, sure, I knew there were other ones, but Jon Stewart was my Green Lantern. So to many people, that is kind of the direction and thought and idea that people want to go with and see that. Look, we got Guy Gardner. We're going to have Hal Jordan, and I'm sure at some time down the line we're going to see other versions of Green Lantern as well. But again, I sit here and think there's no reason why they can't go back in time, and they very well might. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think there is going to be a show or a movie or something where they show a younger Hal Jordan down the line? Do you think so? I think if this show does well enough, it absolutely will. Absolutely will happen. But I want to know what you think in the comments below. Alright guys, with all that said, that's pretty much all I got for you today. So I'm going to try and get back to doing this on a regular basis. I just started a new job, so things have been a little hectic for me, getting used to that schedule and things like that. So once I'm kind of used to it now, so I'm thinking I can start recording more often. So I'm going to try and keep everybody up to date on what's going on there. Make sure you get the Snyderverse book, which is on Amazon right now. The Snyder Effect book, that is going to kind of cover the entire DCEU from inception to its death in 2022. It is amazing book, awesome. Many people have read it, reviewed it, said it's great, so you can go check it out yourself. You can buy it in hard copy, you can buy it in paperback, or you can even get it digitally. And with that, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, and guys, I will catch you all later.